Simple words from Thích. Listen, listen. The sound of this bell brings us back to our true home. And Sayadaw U Tejaniya. Awareness is our true home. Go back home where you belong. Tuning to ourselves. Opening to reality. Just as it is. Ever unfolding. Always changing. May the body relax. Allowing the body to rest in a comfortable posture. And befriending ourselves. Befriending the moment. Just as we are. Just as it is. Totally and completely imperfect. Opening and receiving. Oh, So it's like this. Cultivating receptivity, openness, interest, attuning to ourselves in the present moment. Moment by moment. Hi there. Meeting what we find. Knowing that it is conditioned. It is impersonal, imperfect, and impermanent. Simply a conditioned arising. Resting. Cultivating relaxation and ease, as well as interest. What's actually happening? Some thoughts in the mind, maybe a sound, a sensation in the body. Aha! Hello there. meeting the moment just as it is. Noticing the habit of pushing away or chasing after. The habit of not liking or liking. Hi there. It's simply a conditioned arising. We can observe this too. Mindfulness, it does not care what it is mindful of. With practice over time, we can become attuned to and interested in, attentive to the experience of awareness itself. We can be aware with or aware while, rather than intending to an object of our awareness. Just a little tiny turn away from the object. Little click, not a big turn, not a 180. Maybe a stepping back or moving back. A little bit of backing up, a little space. Oh, this is how it feels to know. Be still and know. It's not something to go out there and do. No doing here. Resting and being. And the awareness arises of its own accord as we create space for it through relaxation and interest. How are you? Can you know what's happening in there? In your heart, in your mind, your body? Not trying to fix anything because you're not broken. Meeting and greeting, observing, moment by moment. It's like this. Coming to know. What's here now? Simply noticing what you're noticing. And then getting interested in your relationship to that. Is there some peace, okayness, contentment, or greed or aversion present? Simply knowing this. Oh, this is what it feels like to be chasing. This is what it feels like to be pushing away. This is what it feels like to be annoyed or to be judging. Hi there. These are the moments of our lives. Let's not miss them. Continuing to cultivate awareness. Welcome to stay in the posture that you're in, or explore being aware while walking, getting some tea, going to the bathroom. Whatever might be an interesting edge for you. About 5 or 10 minutes for that kind of open choice of where to apply the cultivation of being aware while or aware with. And then we'll have 20 minutes of silence together. Please enjoy continuing your practice of the cultivation of awareness. receiving the bell and allowing it to call you home to yourself. Continuing the cultivation of awareness and presence, aware with, aware while, as we expand into movement, listening to the body, attuning to the body, moving the body or allowing the body to move in the ways that feel supportive in this moment, not prescriptive, but rather emergent. Allowing the heart and the gut to guide us. And really feeling the movements, aware with, aware while. Ooh. And as you're ready, the eyes will open to whatever level of sightedness is available and noticing how that experience is. In your heart, in your mind, in your body. And for about 5 minutes or so, exploring how it is to be aware while, whatever you choose to do. Bathroom, water, tea, stretch. You do you. And can you be aware while? Aware with. Hi, dear friends. So since today is the first Monday of the month, we'll have a recitation of precepts. And as we're alternating between Theravada and Plum Village, it's time for the Plum Village style. And so I wonder if we might start on Zoom and see if there's anyone who wants to read. A few different pieces to read.
The Five Mindfulness Trainings. The Five Mindfulness Trainings have their root in the Five Precepts offered by the Buddha. They have been expanded and updated so that they represent a way to bring mindfulness into every area of life. Rather than hard and fast rules, they offer us a path to cultivate and develop actions of body, speech, and mind that can create a more healthy and compassionate world.
Thank you very much. And then would someone else on Zoom like to read this? Okay, I think it's kind of a small font for the space, so I'll read this and then we'll pass the mic around. An introduction to the 5 mindfulness trainings from Thich Nhat Hanh himself. The 5 mindfulness trainings are one of the most concrete ways to practice mindfulness. They are non-sectarian, and their nature is universal. They are true practices of compassion and understanding. All spiritual traditions have their equivalent to the 5 mindfulness trainings. The first training is to protect life, to decrease violence in oneself, in the family, and in society. The second training is to practice social justice, generosity, not stealing, and not exploiting other living beings. The third is the practice of responsible sexual behavior in order to protect individuals, couples, families, and children. The fourth is the practice of deep listening and loving speech to restore communication and reconciliation. The fifth is about mindful consumption to help us not bring toxins and poisons into our body or mind. The 5 mindfulness trainings are based on the precepts developed during the time of the Buddha to be the foundation of practice for the entire lay practice community. I, Thich Nhat Hanh, have translated these precepts for modern times because mindfulness is at the foundation of each one of them. With mindfulness, we are aware of what is going on in our bodies, our feelings, our minds, and the world. So that's what I've been pointing to. Right? How can we be aware while we're engaged with whatever, whether it's a thought or a behavior of the body or some response to something? It's wonderful to have time in deep concentration. That's a beautiful practice. And there's also something profound about being present to what's actually happening inside of ourselves. While we're speaking to a room of people, while we're talking to an individual, while we're speaking to ourselves, like, oh, how's my heart, mind, body responding to this? Like, what's happening inside of me? Allowing this capacity to be present and aware to inform our lives. Not just something that we carve out a allotted time for in the day, but something that's alive in all of the moments of our day, more and more with practice. So this language of aware with or aware while is from Sayadaw U Tejaniya. And I think that he and Thich Nhat Hanh are pointing to a similar thing of this capacity for presence to infuse our lives. So back to Thich Nhat Hanh. With mindfulness, we are aware of what is going on in our bodies, our feelings, our minds, and the world. And we avoid doing harm to ourselves and others. You know, this happens because we recognize the pain of it. We observe, oh, this is what it feels like when I'm angry, or this is what it feels like when I'm mad, or oh, this is how it feels to have cursed someone out, or like this against energy. It feels terrible. And that wisdom emerges from the meeting, the direct experience. Okay, back to Thai. Mindfulness protects us, our families, and our society. When we are mindful, we can see that by refraining from doing one thing, we can prevent another thing from happening. And I'd say the same is true, that we can see by doing one thing, we support another thing to happen. Or because we did this thing, this other thing happened. Like we just can see more clearly. We arrive at our own unique insight. It's not something imposed on us by an outside authority. It's this wisdom that emerges, our own compass, our own moral compass, our own barometer. Practicing the mindfulness trainings, therefore, helps us to be more calm and concentrated and brings more insight and enlightenment. That's from Happiness, Essential Mindfulness Practices, published in 2009 by Parallax Press. All right. So how does that look in the room? Does that feel... Corey, can you read that? Can you see that? No. You have the card. Okay, so we can pass the card around in the space, and online you can read along on the screen, just observing, because I know some of us receive more deeply audibly, and some of us receive more deeply verbally. The microphone fan is on the edge of breaking.
First mindfulness training, reverence for life. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insight of interbeing and compassion, and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminative thinking. I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world.
This is the first mindfulness training, reverence for life. Just noticing how those words land in your heart, mind, body, where there's resonance, where there's dissonance, spaciousness, contraction. And continuing in the cultivation of awareness as we read and as we listen.
Second mindfulness training, true happiness. Aware of suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression. I am committed to practicing generosity in my thinking, speaking, and acting. I am determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. And I will share my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in need. I will practice looking deeply to see that the happiness and suffering of others are not separate from my own happiness and suffering. That true happiness is not possible without understanding and compassion. And that running after wealth, fame, power, and sensual pleasures can bring much suffering and despair. I am aware that happiness depends on my mental attitude and not on external conditions, and that I could live happily in the present moment simply by remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. I am committed to practicing right livelihood so that I can help reduce the suffering of living beings on earth and stop contributing to climate change.
Noticing how the heart, mind, body receives those words on true happiness, whether you read them or you heard them.
The third mindfulness training, true love. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I'm committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. Knowing that sexual desire is not love, and that sexual activities motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others. I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without mutual consent, true love, and a deep long-term commitment. I resolve to find spiritual support for the integrity of my relationship from family members, friends, and Sangha with whom there is support and trust. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. Seeing that the body and mind are interrelated, I am committed to learning appropriate ways to take care of my sexual energy in cultivating the four basic elements of true love: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusivity, for the greater happiness of myself and others. Recognizing the diversity of human experience, I am committed not to discriminate against any form of gender identity or sexual orientation. Practicing true love, we know that we will continue beautifully into the future.
And tuning to the heart mind, noticing how the third mindfulness training, true love, lands in this heart mind body. Attuning to your direct experience.
The fourth mindfulness training, loving speech and deep listening. Aware of suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others. I am committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and to promote reconciliation and peace in myself and among other people, ethics and religion groups, and nations. Knowing that the world can create happiness or suffering, I am committed to speaking truthfully, using words that inspire confidence, joy, and hope. When anger is manifested in me, I am determined not to speak. I will practice mindful breathing and walking in order to recognize and to look deeply into my anger. I know that the root of anger can be found in my wrong perceptions and lack of understanding of suffering in myself and in other persons. I will speak and listen in ways that can help myself and other persons transform suffering and see the way out of difficult situations. I am determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain and not to utter words that can cause divisions or discord. I will practice right diligence to nourish my capacity for understanding, love, joy, and inclusiveness, and gradually transform anger, violence, and fear that lies deep in my consciousness.
Noticing how the heart-mind responds to the fourth mindfulness training, loving speech and deep listening.
The fifth mindfulness training, nourishment and healing. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will practice looking deeply into how I consume the four kinds of nutriments, namely edible foods, sense impressions, volition, and consciousness. I am determined not to gamble or to use alcohol, drugs, or any other products which contain toxins, such as certain websites, electronic games, music, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. I will practice coming back to the present moment to be in touch with the refreshing, healing, and nourishing elements in me and around me, not letting regrets and sorrow drag me back into the past, nor letting anxieties, fear, or craving pull me out of the present moment. I am determined not to try to cover up loneliness, anxiety, or other suffering by losing myself in consumption. I will contemplate interbeing and consume in a way that preserves peace, joy, and well-being in my body and consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family, my society, and the earth.
Noticing how the fifth mindfulness training lands in the heart, in the gut, nourishment and healing. Noticing if perhaps there is something in the words throughout the five mindfulness trainings that is inspiring or cultivates, sparks some kind of aspiration, or if there's something in there where there's a dissonance or there's a rub, there's some like, nah, just kind of tuning into your own experience. Thank you. We've got about 20 minutes. Anything alive for anyone? I think one thing that's alive for me is first to thank everyone for participating, for reading, and for listening. It's a practice. It's a lot of words, right? A month ago when we explored the precepts, it was very few words for each precept and all this other stuff that we did, right? The chanting and the this and the that. And this is a lot of content. And for some of us, that's really supportive. It's like there's a little bit more meat there for our teeth to sink into, you know? And for some of us, it's like it's way too much and we're just flooded by it. And maybe for one person, it's different at a different moment in time. So just kind of noticing how that is for you. One isn't better or worse, it's just different conditions show up in different situations. When I was first exposed to the precepts, I was in Thailand and it was very simple, very straightforward. And we recited them every morning for 10 days and then life continued. And then I was practicing in the Plum Village style and I was exposed to these mindfulness trainings. They were a different iteration because it was 20 years ago and they're a living document, which is one of the things I love about them is that it's the community coming together and say, well, I think that language, and it's like, it's really alive. And so I had a printout of them and I was looking at them. I was at Plum Village for 3 weeks. And there was some content in there that I had complete resonance with, like, yeah, obviously. And there was other content that I was like, not sure how I feel about that. And it was very interesting to play with it, explore it. And I took my printout and I marked it all up and I highlighted things and I wrote notes and just was in my own journey with it. And I feel really grateful for that time to be on retreat, really exploring that particular set of words for that particular time. It was June 2006. And now we are December 2025. And we don't have, I'm not handing everyone a piece of paper with the mindfulness trainings on it, but maybe I'll do that in 2 months when we come back to these again. And even without the piece of paper, there's probably something in there that landed. There's somewhere that there's some residue from that experience. And I would love to hear about that. Okay. The floor is open. Yeah, thank you so much. I found my own exploration of that, the aspiration and the intention to cultivate, like to creating conditions so that I could remember that, so I could touch that and so that I can feel that. And of course I forget, you know, I'm human. And for me, you know, you'll have your own journey and I hope that it's wonderful. Looking at why I don't feel that way was not as supportive for me as cultivating what are the conditions that support me to touch that? How do I feel that? When do I feel that? When have I felt that in the past? How can I feel that today? What do I have going on in the future such that I can feel that? It's like, that's what's really helped me. And I think it's even in the training specifically, the suggestion, the words of course are different, but to spend time in nature. And I know that for me, as I've played with that like actually spending time in nature. And so it can be as simple as walking down the streets of San Francisco. Like, you don't have to go anywhere, but can I be there? And I went for a couple of walks yesterday. I was on my phone, talking to my cousins. It's like, I missed the whole experience. I got to talk to my cousins, which was great, and my body got to move, and I missed a big component of the experience because I wasn't present, and I wasn't aware to the trees and the birds and the breeze and the beautiful hills and the views. Like, I missed it all. And I got to be supported by nature while I had conversations with people who I love who are struggling, right? That's part of life. And so it was conscious. Anyway, I find that doing one thing at a time, as Thich Nhat Hanh taught very clearly, and that's what his name means, Nhat Hanh is one action. Doing one thing at a time allows me to touch the beauty that surrounds me, to feel in my body, maybe intrinsically, that I have more than enough conditions to be happy right now. I don't have to think about it, because I find that if I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of lost. But when I'm here, oh yeah, It's great. It's when I'm like, la, 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 they and this and that and you and then not so much. Yeah. And then I did have a walk yesterday without my phone. And I saw everything. It was amazing. And all I did was walk up my street 10 blocks. Hummingbird dancing around, and this little magenta blossom, and then the yellow blossom, and the white blossom. San Francisco is so beautiful. But I have to be here. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I look forward to hearing about your journey. Go ahead.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so that card that Lisa has is a card that has the 5 mindfulness trainings in it. And more than that, it's a transmission. So she went through a ceremony where she received transmission from Thich Nhat Hanh through the monastics to practice those mindfulness trainings. So it's a really beautiful ceremony. I received transmission of those 5 mindfulness trainings from Thich Nhat Hanh in Plum Village in 2006. And when you go through that ceremony and you receive transmission, you get a cute little card like that. And if you ask for it, you receive a Dharma name. So when I received the 5 mindfulness trainings, I received the name Peaceful Fulfillment of the Heart. And there's been a period of time where I felt like that was happening in my life. Do not feel that way right now. And I aspired to that, and I aspire to that, and it's so helpful. Right? And that name arises, you write an essay, and they offer you a name that's aspirational for you, for what you're navigating. Yeah. So thanks everyone for participating so wholeheartedly with your presence and your voice and your glasses and your experience. We need each other. This is how we navigate life, through the joyful times and the not so joyful times. So with the first bell, massaging your body in preparation for standing. And with this bell, we can rise. Turning to one another for our beautiful Sangha and appreciation for all the causes and conditions that allow us to be together, to cultivate presence and awareness. And then turning out 180. Or if you're at home, gazing upon something neutral or soothing, or maybe even out the window. And calling to mind anyone with whom you want to share the merit of your practice. Giving voice to that if you like. Repeating after me. May the fruits of our practice benefit all beings and bring peace and liberation to all.